Hello and welcome to another amazing tutorial by Amoka Beading School, where we help fashion designers and fashion enthusiasts to understand and monetize fabric embellishment. Today we have a very exciting project to work on, and it's great for beginners to learn how to bead on fabrics. Today we are going to learn how to stitch beads or attach beads to fabric. And if you're excited about what we're about to learn, just go ahead and click the like button and subscribe, okay? So that I am encouraged to create more amazing tutorials for you. Without further ado, some of the things we'll need for this class are beads. Of course, beadwork is incomplete without beads. You would need beading needles, you would need thread. I'll show you the beading needles I'm using in a minute. Let me just get it. Let me grab it quickly. I'm using these beading needles. However, I'm using size 11. This is size 12. You could have in your stash or in your collection size 10, size 11, and size 12, but size 11 or size 12 are my go-to sizes. So this is what I'm using. You may not have this particular brand in your country, but this is what it should look like. These needles are super thin. This is how thin it is. Okay, it's not your regular hand sewing needle. Some people ask me, is it the same as our hand sewing needle? No, it's not the same. This is what it looks like. It's thin, and the important thing is to ensure that your beads can pass through your needle. Okay, so you, like I was saying, you may not have this exact brand in the country or in the location that you're in, but you can get the pack of assorted needles that has small needles, big needles, and pick the one that your beads can pass through. We need our beads, we need matching thread. It's important that if you're not using invisible thread, which is supposed to be colorless and it's not supposed to show, if you're using cotton thread, which is the other type of thread that we use for fabric embellishment, you need to ensure that you use thread that matches or is similar to the color of beads that you're working with. It adds to the overall neatness of your beadwork. We'll also need a pair of small scissors. You would need fabric marker pen. This pen is erasable. Once you use it to mark your fabric, and you're done and you iron over your fabric from the reverse side or from any side, the marker or the ink will erase. So it erases under direct heat. You need to get that. I'm out of this. I just found out that this has finished, so I had to use my regular pen, but no worries. This is just for the purpose of a tutorial and also to help you see what I'm doing boldly. So today we'll be using a stitch that I call the single stitch. It's an amazing stitch because you can do so much with it. Sometimes we look at beadwork, some pictures of couture pieces, bespoke pieces, and we think it's hard. No, the first thing you need to do is understand what stitch was used. And this single stitch is also the stitch that we use to attach claw stones, that we use to attach pearls sometimes when you're working on bridal work. But don't worry, you understand it as you go on. So first thing that I'm going to do is from the reverse side of my fabric. By the way, I've ironed fusible interfacing to the back of the fabric. If you look closely, you'll see that the texture of this side of the fabric and the texture here are two different things. Okay, so first thing that I did was iron fusible interfacing to the back of my fabric, so that this gives the fabric strength, because sometimes beads can be heavy, so you need your fabric to have the strength to carry them. Okay, and also you may be wondering how I assembled this embroidery hoop. I have a video on that and I will link it right on top of this video, so you can go watch that so you'll understand how to assemble your embroidery hoop. And your fusible interfacing may look different depending on the country you are located in, but just ask for fusible interfacing. It has dry gum on the back, which is activated by direct heat and sticks to your fabric when you iron it. Without further ado, let's kick into our tutorial for today. So from the reverse side of the fabric, I'm going to be passing my needle. Can you see that? Good. So I'll draw my thread all the way, and the first thing I'm going to do is to create what I like to call a securing knot. I like to create this at the beginning and also at the end of my beadwork. Can you see? I just pinched the fabric a bit, and I'm going to draw that and pass it through the loop that the thread has created, just to create a knot. This helps me secure my thread and also gives me the sense of security that my thread won't cut. Very important. So I'm going to be picking my beads one by one. I remember I just told you that this stitch is called the single stitch, and it's used stitching your beads one by one. So what you're going to do, if you're just starting out, you need to put your bead upon the fabric just the way I'm doing it. The essence of this, you're going to put it from the knot facing the side you want to go. So I'm going in this direction, okay? I'm not going in this direction. I'm going anti-clockwise. So I'm going to put this, and I'm going to put it on the fabric just to see where the bead ends. The essence of this is to ensure that your bead stays firm. You don't want the stitch to be too loose such that your beads will be dancing in between the stitch, and you don't want it to be too tight such that your beads will not settle well. If your stitch is too tight, the beads will not lay flat. So you want your beads to lay flat. So you can see right here, let me grab my scissors so I can show you very well. So if we lay this on the fabric, you can see that the bead is ending right here. That's exactly where you're going to end your stitch. So as you continue, it's going to get easier for you, don't worry, and with your eyes you'll be able to eyeball it. Next thing you want to do is to determine how much space you want in between each stitch. Do you want a lot of space? If you want a lot of space, you will leave a lot of space before bringing out your thread. If you don't want too much space, if you want moderate space, which is what I want, you're going to determine that. It's all up to you, and bring out your needle to continue the next stitch. So there we go, we stitched our first bead to fabric. Isn't that amazing? If you are also following this tutorial and practicing along with me, make sure you showcase your practical, showcase your work, and tag us at Amoka Beading School so we get to see, repost, and celebrate with you for the amazing work that you have created. So we're going to move on to the next one, and you need to ensure that you're maintaining that space that you started with. Uniformity is key with this particular stitch, and with every stitch and every part of beadwork, uniformity is key. So we're going to pick another bead and go on like that, okay? So we're going to go ahead and do that for the entire pattern, and you don't have to follow this floral pattern. You can create your own pattern. You can write your name, you can draw your brand logo, you can write the year that you are in. You can just get creative, let your creativity lead you, okay? All right, so I'm going to go ahead and speed this up. You can still watch it to understand what we're doing, but I'm going to go ahead to speed this up, and you would see I'll be back when we are almost done. All right, so before we go ahead and speed it up, I want to show you how to move on to the next one, because I know that someone may have a question in that regard. So I can see that once I put this bead, I won't be able to put anyone in between the space that we have between this bead and the next one. So I'm going to move my needle to the next part I want to continue. So I'm going to continue here and go all the way around, okay? Oh, by the way, these beads that we're using are called seed beads or sand beads. Some people know them as sand beads here in Nigeria. So it all depends on where you are. But this is what they look like. So you can take a picture of this to the store you're buying from, or to the market you're buying from, so that they can give you just that. Alright guys, so we are back. This is the very last stitch that we're going to do, and you know there's no space to continue further, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to pass my needle all the way to the back. All right, so we'll flip out to the back. You can see how neat the thread work at the back is as well. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to create our securing knot all over again. You can pinch only the fusible interfacing. You don't have to pinch the fabric in front so that the thread won't show. Okay, so once you do that, you can roll your thread over the needle and pull. I'm going to do that one more time just for extra security. All right, so now we can cut our thread. Another way also to end your stitches or end your beadwork is you can cut your thread maybe 2.5 inches away from the fabric and open it up and tie. So you tie about 2 to 3 times and then you can cut it finally. 1, 2, but it's always better for me to create that securing knot because the knots can pass through the fabric, but these knots can still pass through the fabric. So this is what we have. We are done with creating our flower, our beaded flower. And do you like it? If you like it, please give this video a thumbs up. Please like this video and subscribe. Be sure to share this video with your friends who are fashion designers or who just love fashion generally so that they can learn. And you may be thinking that this is where the stitch ends. No, it doesn't end here. It's a very practical and amazing stitch that you can use on a lot of designs. Let me show you one design that we have used the stitch on. Right, if you look closely at this, you'd see all these beads that are sitting on their own. This was achieved with the single stitch. Okay, this is another stitch which I have a class on. I have a very detailed tutorial on this stitch, and I've also used it to create so many amazing designs. You can see some of the cup chain is missing because it was glued and not tacked, which is why I always advise people to sew their cup chain. Don't just glue it. You can glue it in place and then sew it so that it's more permanent. So you can see these silver beads that are running here. You can see these other set of silver beads. They were achieved with single stitch. So you can do so many amazing things with your single stitch. You can combine all your stitches just to create a very amazing and unique design. And if there's any other thing you'd like to learn with regards to fabric embellishment, feel free to comment in the comment section below. You can also check the description box for further information on other videos, on other amazing tutorials that we have, especially the one on how to set up your embroidery hoop. Have a nice day. Bye.